TC number 424, 5 seconds. Start. Sir, I rise to support the budget which has been presented by the Finance Minister for the year 2002-2003. The budget is bold, innovative and pragmatic in introducing many steps for restoring the economy to its proper path. We have got to see why this budgetary policy was introduced. This House knows what was the economic scenario at the time when the present government came to power in July 1991. The economy was going to be bankrupt in the international sphere. Our reserves of foreign exchange for the imports were not even for 2 weeks requirements. Internationally, the world was not at all giving any credibility to the Indian economy, and the foreign banks stopped lending money to India. The NRIs were withdrawing their deposits because they had lost confidence in the Indian economy. That was the position which was being brought about by the 18th month rule, and in 11th month the government of the National Front had brought the economy to such a position that the inflation in the country reached its high water mark in July 1997 at 16%. The government have to face this impending crisis because if the international banks and institutions stop supplying funds to India, what will be our position, our credibility before the world? Faced with this situation, the government took the bold step of devaluation and took certain important immediate measures for restoring the economic strength and vitality of our country. The result is that the present position is that the foreign exchange reserves of our country have increased to rupees 12 crores. We are not to depend upon charity now because we have our own strength of our foreign exchange reserves. The inflation is arrested. It cannot be reduced overnight. Economic reforms cannot be made by the magic wand of only the finance minister. The budgetary policy only can create certain conditions to which economy has to respond, and the response cannot be made like the Aladdin's lamp overnight, and hence we have got to wait for the results of the policy which has been introduced by the finance minister. We have to see today what are the objectives that the government had in view for introducing the various measures, some of which are really innovative and beneficial to our economy. The objective before the government was to tide over the crisis in the balance of payments position and at the same time to control the inflation in the country. The twin objectives were achieved by the government by introducing our new industrial policy, monetary policy, trade policy and fiscal policy as well. The budgetary policy reflects the economy philosophy, the fiscal policy of the government, and the government thought, and rightly so, that if the economy is to be restored from its impasses, one of the major objectives will be to liberalize the economy and to unshackle the economy from the cobwebs of bureaucratic control. It is preciously because of this reason that the new industrial policy, expecting in certain basic sectors, has now freed the economy from the licensing and other requirements which created artificial bottlenecks in developing the country on its own. The finance minister has introduced various measures to give relief to the different sectors of the economy. He has introduced a drastic cut in the rate of taxation. Today, there are only 3 slabs of income tax. The people whose income is up to rupees 50,000 are to pay 20%. The people whose income is between rupees 50,000 and 1 lakh are to pay 30%, and for above rupees 1 lakh it will be only 40% with a surcharge, which, as assured by the finance minister, will continue only for 1 year. He has also raised the taxation exemption limit from rupees 22,000 to rupees 28,000. In other words, the small income group will get a relief of rupees 6,000 as their tax exemption limit is increased. I would appeal to the finance minister to see whether this rising of the exemption limit will really give substantial relief to the middle or the lower income group in our country. The finance minister has introduced a better liquidity on the basis of the recommendations of Narasimhan Committee. The liquidity ratio is to be reduced from 38% to 30%. It is a very welcome measure, for the commercial banks are not to keep much of their deposits locked up in unproductive investments. Now they have been released, and this will give encouragement to the investment in productive sectors. The finance minister has introduced a very important measure for dealing with inflation and evasion of taxes. He is giving encouragement for the gold bond, which he will be introducing as he has announced. As a result of this, unnecessary looking up of gold for non-productive purposes will be done away with.